Live. Live, live. I'm alive. All right. Welcome. Whoop. Welcome, everyone. So I just posted my day 4 and I noticed I don't know. It really got me this close, like really close when I'm filming. So it's just like but anyways, day 4 is up about getting into your rhythm. Rhythm, baby, rhythm. You know, life is going cray cray. Everything's going crazy. Um, man, this is oh, it's serious stuff. It's serious stuff. This isn't where like like the lockdowns and stuff that happened 6 years ago. This is taking in more of a serious tone, and I feel like there's a lot, and especially since we're in Aries and Chiron at the end of Aries before it goes into Taurus. This is really a time for people to really look at what is your needs, like what are your needs. This is really important for us to really take life serious. This isn't a time to go out and squander our our money, our resources. This is really a time of conserving. This is a time of looking at how to take more control out of our lives and not spiral out of control. And I think you guys can all feel it. The world is shifting fast, and the astrology is telling us why. This is, you can feel it. And it's not subtle anymore. This isn't just energy. This isn't just personal transformation. This is global. Everyone on the planet is feeling this shift. And if you've been feeling like things don't feel stable, like you're feeling something is bigger is happening behind the scenes, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, because when you look at the astrology right now, it's like, it lines up perfectly to what is happening. And we are in one of the most intense Aries activations that we've seen in our lifetime. And Aries is not easy. It is not an easy, soft energy. It is a very hard energy. And a lot of people don't like it when I say this. And I try to sort of skip around this, and I try to not push, you know, um, sounding like a warmonger. But Aries energy is war, leadership, identity, survival, direction. It's the beginning of a cycle. But beginnings are not calm. And that's what people got to understand. We're not in a calm, kumbaya, lovey dovey type of energy. We are in an energy that is very forceful, that is very um, explosive, that is in an energetic way that is going to be disruptive. We are in an extreme disruptive time. And let me take a sip on that one. I've been talking about this for a long time. And I just feel like the reason why I have to keep on talking about, I feel like I've been talking about it for the last, I don't know, since 2017, when everything started to really come in quite heavily for me. And, telling me not to do markets, not to do this, things, my guides were really shifting me. And this is where, that's about, well, 9 years ago, 10 years ago, all of this started to come in, and the shifts are starting to um, n- be more intense. And I find that where I'm at right now within my home, I I don't want to move from my home unless it's like something, different. I don't know if it was like uh we were able to buy off grid a farm and everything else and stuff. But then again, would I be able to maintain a farm at this time? And that's the other part that's getting people to really look at realistically. Like realistically, it would all have to be all set up for me to go out there and start building and doing all that type of things, unless I have a full staff, is not viable. Like not for me at my age, not for my husband. And this is where this is a time of looking at truths, looking at what you can and cannot do, and what is in your lane, and being honest of what's in your lane. And that's Very important. Right now, gas, I think is like, what's the gas prices in Calgary? Let me just Google. I'm gonna Google. I'm Googling gas. I don't even have to go. So it went down. It's hovering between 166 and 169. It was one seven. Oh wow, hold on. Gotta move you guys out of the way. So the cheapest gas prices today, that's what it was earlier, but Esso is 174, Parkdale 174, G&B 175. So gas right now, and I think the price of barrel of gas was the most expensive the other day was like 112. I told people I got 175, and I think Neil McCoy was saying 200. So and that's going to rise pretty damn freaking quick. This is where being realistic on travel plans, being realistic on where you want to go. Let's say if you want to go to Europe, I mean, it could be depending, well, going to Europe, I think I would really look at can I get out? Can I get home? Um, because airline prices are going to be extremely high. They're going to get sky high. And that's where you have to have sort of a way out with what's coming in. And this is where I can see gas. I mean, how was it? Gas was uh, back in the 70s. I mean, when things started to go crazy, and that was Chiron and Aries at the end of Chiron and Aries slowly going into Taurus. That was a time. Oh, look at my daughter's coming and my grandson is coming. Oh, I wasn't expecting them, but here they are. So this is a real time of change. So it just kind of threw me off my thought because I wasn't expecting them to come over. So crazy, crazy. Hang on. Interruption, family, dog, everything. Wasn't expecting you. Welcome. Oh, okay. Hi. Wasn't expecting you. I was doing my live. I am live. Oh, thank you. I look pretty. Good. I try. So the dog will bark because now Olivia, I got to do a play by play. Olivia is hugging her son because he's going to go to his dad's. The dog doesn't like anybody touching Mateus because if you touch Mateus, the dog just freaks out. So does not like that. And then starts to growl at Olivia for touching him and stuff. So there you go. That's the play by play that's going on. And now the dog's all happy to see Olivia because she's no longer talking or touching Mateus. So, and here is Mateus. Ta-da! There he is. There he is. Woo.
Oh, it's blurry.
Blurry, you got to come over more on this side then. There you go.
Oh,
That,
there you go. Hi.
there you go. Because the background's blurry. That's why.
I'm back.
He's back. He's back. You know he's going to be 11 next month.
They at least need to see the dog.
Oh, and there's the dog.
I have to bring her.
So there's the dog. So go by Papa or go, because I'm on live. Anyways, I know he's gotten so big. Very big. Totally crazy. Most of you, because you guys, I mean, most of you have been with me for over 11 years. You've seen the whole transformation from a wee little babe to becoming a preteen. That is crazy. I know it happens so fast. It's just because when you look at it, and then all of a sudden they're, I don't know, 6 feet tall, and they're talking like this, and they have to shave. So totally crazy. Totally crazy. No, I'm on live. Go by Papa. So this is where the craziness all begins. Anyways, talking about the gas prices. Because back in the 70s, you had to go by license plates, right? And they altered license plates. And some places um have that you were only allowed like 10 gallons of gas, and that was it. You were limited for gas at that time. In England during the 70s, they went down to a 3 to a 4-day work week, which was very detrimental because a lot of people were dependent on the 5-day work week. We're dependent on that 37 to 40 hours a week, and then all of a sudden you're cut down to 20 to 27 hours a week for going into work. So this is where we are going to start witnessing a lot of stores not being open as long. I think mall hours might be cut because people are going to be unable to get there. You're not going to have the fuel for your buses. Now the thing is that yes, Canada has reserves. Yes, Canada has oil and gas. Definitely, we are one of the, what is it, one, two, three, the fourth largest reserves in the world for oil and gas. And um yes, United States, I mean, they're drilling down in I grabbed an e-bike to get to work. Right on. Yeah, that's it. I mean, people might balk at the electrical bikes, but I think that's going to be a way that's going to come in. More people are going to be using buses. When you have to pay now, if you're at 176 right now a liter for fuel, then you're going to find that I'm going to say as we're going into summer, we could go up to $3 to $4 for petrol easily. That doesn't include diesel. Diesel is going to be through the roof because diesel is going to be another one. So it's going to be expensive to travel. It's going to be expensive for us to get here and there. This is where you have to start prioritizing. Do I need the new 50-inch television? Like, how many, do I need that brand new phone kind of thing? Like, when the iPhone 20 whatever is going to come out, can you afford it? Now you're going to find very much so then, because we're also in the energy like in 1997 when the first computers came out. And Windows and the whole Windows thing came up. It was where a complete computer, with the tower and everything, and the everything to do with it, I would say would be 4 to 6 thousand US dollars, in our inflationary dollars. So we're going to find that a lot of things that are coming in. Just hang on, I gotta Mateus, that's on his way. So this is where you're going to find where people are going to have to start prioritizing. I know I'm glitching out on YouTube, sorry. Where people are going to have to start prioritizing what they need and what they don't need. If you go back to wartime and you look at, things like chocolate, and my mother once, once she had, without chocolate was a huge thing to have chocolate. My mom used to take scoops, and we used to like, Mom, what are you doing to get when she was younger and even in the war, to have a scoop of peanut butter and just have it on your spoon was a huge thing, right? And it was expensive. I just caught you before I left for the dump in the town for groceries. Yeah, and that's the whole thing. What is the priorities? The priorities are going to be food. The priorities are going to be what is your cost, and limiting where you're driving, and how far you're going to drive. Now, this is going to impact a lot of things to do, and especially when it comes to tourism and how you are getting about and how you are getting around. So this energy that is happening right now, there's uncertainty, there's pressure, and it's forcing us to choose differently. This is forcing us to get into a war minded mentality. And we haven't ever lived in that. My parents did, but my parents aren't around. They came from a depressionary war, mentality. My grandmother, she was through the Boer War, she was through World War One, she was through the Depression, she was through World War Two. She it's just thinking of everything that woman went through, to what at that time was modern day, with the TV, the car, and everything else, and the telephone. Now, as we look at things, the thing is that, to bring it down to earth, because this isn't just symbolic. It is where we are having military movement increasing, energy systems tightening, alliances shifting, and economic pressures rising, right? We're feeling it. That's where we're at. That's what's happening right now. And how long do we get transparency for the government? I don't think we'll ever get transparency with the government. But this is where we are going to find the shifts in the alliances changing. A lot to do with alliances. We're seeing where NATO doesn't want to back the United States. Now, there are and they're pulling away. We are now seeing Germany being one of the strongest militaries in Europe, very similar to what they were in World War II, right? And they're rising up. They've even sent out in the mail cards that if you are 18 and older, you have to fill this out, right? And fill this out for the army. And so looking at enlistment, looking at this, of this is what they're starting to ask for. And seeing so much push, and especially you've seen it in the States, for the Army, for the Navy, and the different areas within it, a push for joining, a push of looking at, being strong, being mighty, being a man, energy that's coming in. Now, one of my she might watch this later. Her son said, "Well, I'm going to say I'm a girl," and I'm just like, you can do that, and yes, he's gay. You can say you're a girl, you can say that, but they won't give a fuck. They won't give a shit. I mean, if you're gay, bi, tran, pan, cat, dog, whatever, they'll look at your birth certificate and say, well, you're a boy. And that's what they're going to go by. And that's what they're going to take. And that's the energy that we are in, right? He watched one guy commit while there. Yeah, it is. It's horrific. It is horrific. And it's not going to be an easy plate, because the thing is that when they raised the age, especially when they raised the age in the United States, the reason being is because anybody from the ages of 35 to like 45, they're badass pieces of shit. They don't give a fuck. And that's how they were raised. You get anybody, and I'm going to say anybody below, well, you're going to get them few and far between that are hardcore under the age of 35. Any 16, 17-year-old, 18-year-old today, they're pansies. They cannot handle what's going to be forced upon them. They are going to have to grow up fast. That's why I said those Pluto Sages and the Gen Zs, and that they're going to have a fucking rude awakening. And they are getting a rude awakening where they're thinking, well, I don't need to be a part of this war. I don't need to be a part of this. This isn't mine. You're all wrong, blah, blah, blah. They're going to get like this rude awakening that, no, I'm sorry, you're going. This is what you have to face. This is what you have to do. You're not going to have that privilege that once was. It's gone. This is where this privilege is disappearing. This is where even, if you're reliant on certain things within the government, if you're relying on certain things, it's going to be gone. That's why self-reliance, the I am, Aries, definitely, the new beginning is coming in and saying, what lane are you going in? How are you choosing this lane? How are you going around? Are you going all over the place? Then you're going to be screwed, right? And that's the energy, that's the intensity that we're in right now. And people are finding it, we're restructuring the faces of the world, right? It's not necessarily a collapse, but it is a reorganization. And one of the biggest indicators, energy, is the oil. So when oil shifts, when the supply of oil tightens, that doesn't just affect the gas prices, that affects travel, food, cost of living, movement of goods, and freedom of movement. And here's just a little funny little tidbit. When I was hired at Manitoba, and what, just in when we came together as managers and stuff, had, training and stuff. And I went to my boss at, the boss. And I said to her, I said, are you guys looking at what's coming forward? And she goes, what do you mean? I said, with the economy and everything and the changes that are coming in. She goes, what are you talking about? And I said, are you guys taking into consideration the war? And she looked at me as if, like, are you like, okay, Mary, I know you're psychic or whatever, but she goes, no, we don't talk about that. And I was just like, okay. And I'm just and I did a little bit more research, and a lot of retailers don't like when they're looking at their year plan, they're not looking a lot into the geopolitical. They're not looking into what's going on so much. And if you're getting a lot of your items, especially where that company I used to work with gets it from Vietnam, how they get it from Vietnam, are they going to be getting all the supplies in Vietnam? How much it's going to cost for them to get to Vietnam if they're able to. So now you're going to find a lot of companies aren't going to be able to survive this because they're not going to be able to get the demands. They're not going to get the supplies that they need from where they were getting it from, or it's going to be coming in a very limited amount, right? Um, and the resources. So things are going to be coming in a very limited amount. And with that also is that you're going to find when it comes to the freedom of movement. Are you able to move as free as you were? Now, historically, when energy shifts, society changes. We saw it in the 70s, as I said, and we saw the wartime economies. And we are seeing the early stages of this again. And this is why I come out and I talk about this. And this is why a lot of people, they don't feel it's, I'm not being oppressed. I saw this on Facebook on this feed about something that Tucker said about doing a regime change. Definitely we can, but it just isn't that we oust the prime minister. It has to have a no confidence vote and everything else. So people have to understand how parliament works and how the Canadian government or the Europe or UK Australian government works. It is based on having the parliament vote of confidence, the whole bit, majority government, la da 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 da, all of that kind of stuff. So we have that part that we just can't shift our government right now. We just can't oust them unless you have a coup or you have something crazy happen and you go in there, you rally the troops and you throw them all the hell out. Then maybe you can do it, but I highly doubt that's going to happen. I mean, they got mad at the truckers when they decided to rise up after 2 years of saying no. We don't want these mandates anymore. So this is where we're at. We're at a time where things are going to be feeling very tight, very oppressed, very limited on where we can and cannot go. That's why I said we're going to have an environmental lockdown. And how that looks as an environmental lockdown. That means if you are wanting to just travel outside of Calgary, and let's say I want to go to Airdrie, or if I want to go to Crossfields, or wherever, one of those towns outside of Red Deer. Let's say I want to go to Red Deer. I really have to think about what I'm doing. Like, why am I going to Red Deer? What's the focus of me going to Red Deer? It's not just going to be a day trip. It's not going to be a trip that I take lightly, right? Same if going to Banff. It's not going to be a trip that you're going to take lightly when you have to fill up your tank, and your tank of gas is going to cost you over $100 plus to fill up, right? You're not going to take those trips very lightly because you're going to have to account for, okay, everything within your budget. And that's has to be a priority for people, right? And here's something else that people are not fully catching on yet is AI is changing directions. And we were told that this is going to be for everyone, unlimited access, new world possibility, blah, blah, blah. But what's happening now is prices increasing, access tightening, platforms shifting towards business only use. And that's what you're going to be starting to see is that not everybody's going to have AI. Not everybody's going to have access to AI. It's not going to be just like a free platform that you could go on. It's going to be a paid platform, and in order to use it for your business, if that's what you're utilizing, you're going to pay for it. And if you know your astrology, this makes perfect sense. The last time we had this kind of Saturn and Aries energy was the late 90s. Computers, as I said, were expensive, limited access, not accessibility to everybody. Not everybody had a computer. Not everybody was able to have a computer inside their home. It was limited. Well, whether it's Chat GPT, whatever platform, if it's Grok, it doesn't matter what AI program you're going to have. Even if it's built into your computer, there's going to be a price that you're going to pay to access that, whatever it is. And that's going to be, you know, a piece. And that's what, if that's what you are, I'm taking an AI course later on this month. It's a 3-day summit that I joined. I sat there and I'm like, am I going to do this? Am I going to do this? This person is a very recognized person. He's a very knowledgeable person. He's world renowned. Because you see these other AI things, take AI, take this, and you see all these other ones. I'm like, nah. But this is where it's like, okay, what am I going to learn from this? How am I going to connect, and how I'm going to utilize this for my business? And that's important in order for my business to grow. It's with Tony Robbins, and it's free. It's free, and I joined his extra one for $1. You can get all the other fangle things and stuff like that. That's great, but you have to, but the thing is there's no replay with it. You have to be on the call. It's the 23rd, 24th, and 25th. You have to be on the call. So I did. I downloaded their app. I'm on their stuff, and it's like, this is, if you're wanting to grow your business, if you're wanting to understand your business or understand the world around you have to understand AI. It's just like when I first went to a computer cafe, and I was just like, I didn't understand the tabs. Like, when you clicked on a tab and it was gone, oh my God, where did the tab go? So you thought you had to keep all the tabs up there, right? So understanding the tabs, understanding what that is, right? How many people had, at yahoo.com or at yahoo dot whatever, being that one of their first emails, right? And understanding, you got mail, you got mail, and all the blonde jokes came out when she kept running out to her mailbox saying, oh, well, it keeps telling me I got mail. Where's the mail? So, but here we are, we're entering into this new time and this new way. And this is another way where people are going to connect, right? And connect with community. You're going to be able, when you start utilizing this, is going to help you to aid you to do the connections that are going to be needed in order for you to grow spiritually, mentally, physically, etc. So this is where, what is your path? What are you actually building? And what matters enough to invest in? So what is your path? What is it? What is it that you are wanting to do? How you are wanting to grow? What is that path? And it's sticking to that path, and that's very much this energy and this direction. I'm sticking to this path. This is what I'm going to stick to. I'm going to be a connoisseur of whatever, wine, coffee, or whatever. And this is my path. I'm going to be a person who understands how wine is made, how the grapes are, everything to do with it. And that's what I'm going to do. Same if it was coffee, or if it has to do with anything with cooking or what have you. You see these young women on TikTok and Instagram, and on Facebook and stuff, mainly on TikTok, where they are teaching people how to clean their house. That's their focus. They don't have another focus, right? They're teaching you, there's one that showed a 30-day on how to clean your house, how to keep your house clean, right? And it was like, what? That's their focus. Do they have, yeah, they have the family and everything else, but they're not bringing that in to what their focus is. What is your focus? What is the main thing that you want to start looking at? I watched the Delconham farms in Scotland, and when I watch it, their main focus is their sheep and their goats. and they're Highland cows. I mean, they're a farm, right? So they've made a whole thing with their farm, right? For people to come in and watch the lambing and watch the goats being born and little goats and the pygmy goats and everything. Watch the whole thing on what it is to be a farmer. And they made it into a sort of a destination spot for the family for the day. They have, like a little restaurant there. They have a place for the children to play, and you could go wandering through the barns and stuff. And that is their focus. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like, what is the focus? If your focus is to make your family safe and sound and in harmony and build up your stocks and resources, that's your focus. How are you doing it? What are you doing? Right? Looking at those types of things. And, like for me, my focus is to create a business that is working with women from 40 and older to find a place where they can balance, to come together, to be acknowledged and heard. Hence, with that, bring in the moon energy, because women are aligned with the moon. How we move and our cycles and how we feel is all connected to the moon energy. The moon energy is very important for women, and understanding how that moon affects you. So here my moon readings, my subscriptions that I have. I have a limited amount of subscription for the moon readings. I think I have like seven left. Like I'm allowing 7 more people to subscribe, and that's it. I'm not doing any more, unless somebody drops out, and then I'll have availability. But that's the subscription I'm doing. I'm only allowing a certain amount. Then I have the containers. The containers, I can open it up to 1,000 people or how many people, because it is a workbook and everything that I'm doing. So the containers work off of the moon readings, work off of, of trying to get people into an alignment of understanding where their energy is at this time and working with their energy. And then having weekly or monthly gatherings with that. So this is where that focus has to be. And what are you actually building from there? You're building, a strength, more harmony, more prosperity, more wealth, right? This is very important for you to look at. So what are you building? I'm building something that's bringing in the prosperity and abundance for my family, for myself, and from family, and for those around me. This is what I'm building. You're working with, wanting to bring people a sense of mind. So you're helping people to clean their house. So that brings them more harmony, more peace, and more sense of mind in living into a clean space. So that is what you're actually building and what matters enough to invest in. So for me, what's matters enough to invest in is learning more about AI, learning about the technology in order for me to reach a broader audience, in order for me to reach to more people in many different areas and many different levels. Because the era of trying everything is ending. Where you wanted to do this and you want to do that and you're scattered all over the place is over. The 10 of Wands is over. And many people have been the 10 of Wands, right? Carrying everything up. I can do it all. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try. No, it's done. If you're trying to do that, if you're trying to, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this, you're going to find that it's not going to work. It's going to falter. So focus is so important. And this is where you're finding, where you're hearing more about disclosure talks, government hints. 1 second. Matthias, your father's here. Matthias, tell him you're coming. So this is very important for you to understand, is that you can have more disclosure talks, government hints of things. Listen to it. Government was hinting about this 6 months ago. The government's going to tell you what the hell's going on. And it's just, are you listening? Are you being aware? Space missions. Well, we got the moon mission. Is it true? Is it not true? What's going on? Are they really out there? Are they not? They just saw alien ships outside of their spacecraft. Who knows? Right? So, space mission. Things we can't explain. We're going to find out more things about it.
Bye, Mama.
I love you. Have a good Easter. You're going to find more things that are going to be happening when it comes to aliens and the alien talk. Now they're talking about some kind of they're talking about a disclosure right now about aliens and aliens mating with um humans, right? So there's a hybrid of aliens and humans. So that's the other thing that you're going to um discover as well. And they're saying that they can't it's um so far out there that there's no way anybody it will just gross people out, basically it, right? So you have all of that coming in as well. Like let's just pile it on us, right? And that's all in 1 week. That's all in 1 week. And that's the craziness of it all. That's the energy that we're and we're like, I'm not, I'm not here to tell you what's true or not true, but I'm here to tell you this: a timing of the narrative is not random. Because Neptune, the planet of illusion, is dissolving the old reality because he's in Aries. Old thing, everything is being dissolved. What you thought was true is may not be true, and what was not true is true. Gerald is true or is not true. Do you believe Gerald is true? I believe Gerald is true. I think there's a dolphin out there that's badass. Hey, hey, puppy, down, down. Yes, I see you. So, so you find that. So whether it's literal, symbolic, or a mix of both, we're entering a period that's the reality of questioning, and it's a massive shift of human consciousness. Now, if you're struggling, it's not just the event, it's the overload. You might have too many possibilities, too much uncertainty, and your system is trying to process it all. So, what do people do? Try to control everything, shut down, go into fear, or scatter their energy. And Aries doesn't want that. Aries does not like scattered energy. It does not. It just that's when you'll find the Aries start to explode, or it's just way too much. When things get way too scattered and all over the place. They're not, or someone just like, oh yeah, yeah, and sort of move, kind of move at a snail's pace. And then either they freeze, they don't know what to do, they get frustrated, they get overwhelmed, and that's where you find a lot of things start going cray cray. So this is where it's like, okay, what do I need to do? What are the things that I want to create? And start writing them down, Okay, you can start off, I want to create harmony. Okay, harmony. Let's just start with that. I want to create harmony. What is harmony? Well, harmony is balance. Oh, okay. So you want to create balance because harmony brings in balance. So if you think of an orchestra, if it's sort of out of tune, if it's one person's playing over here and one place play, it doesn't sound right. It's all over the place. So you want to bring in some kind of balance. So what is that balance that you want to bring in? And then you could go, well, I want to bring in peace. Peace. Okay. So what is peace? Peace is where I'm able to function. Function. Okay, you want to function. So from harmony, you're wanting to function. What is functioning, or what is function to you? Well, function is that I can get up and I can get on with my day. I'm able to um come and go when I need to come and go. That's functioning. I'm functioning is that I'm able to create a living. Oh, you want to create a living. So you want to create some kind of income. So the harmony goes back to I want to create a living. And what's creating a living? Well, creating a living means I'm able to pay my bills. Okay. Pay your bills. I'm able to um buy food. Okay, so basically, part of the harmony, the balance, and the peace and the function is creating a living, paying your bills, eating, being able to do things, right? So you start looking at all of this and you write it down and you break it down. So what would be creating a living for you if that's where it is? What is that factor? What is that factor of you creating something that's gonna pay the bills and that's going it could be a muggle job, which is perfectly okay, or it could be something that you are creating on the side. So it's like, well, I wanna create workbooks, I wanna create, um, art pieces, I want to, so these are kind of the things that might be starting to come in. Or, you know what? I love to crochet, I love to draw, I love to knit, I love to garden. So part of that gardening could be something that, how can I make a living at gardening? Maybe I can do it by tutorials, talking to other people on how to garden. There's a guy on TikTok who's made a whole thing on gardening and showing people how to garden, doing permaculture, right? So it's like looking at whatever it is, starting with that, and then asking you, how does that feel? I thought for the longest time because there was a thrift store that was up for sale, not that, I was could buy it or anything, but I thought about it. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, have my own thrift store and have that." I started getting like, ooh, panicky about it. Not that I couldn't do it, but the fact that to do it and the energy for me to do that would be a hell of a lot. It's a lovely idea, right? It's a lovely, if that's where your energy wants to be, but to actually get up there, be there every day, set basically 7 days a week, sort through bags of stuff, right? Make sure that they're clean. How do you recycle it? Get in contact with different places that can recycle, take. There's many, how many levels there are in thrifting? Oh my God. I went down a rabbit hole, of where you can get items to thrift, not only from donations, but there's other organizations that collect and distribute, and it's a lot. It's a lot, Then and then there's the overhead, paying the rent, paying everything that you need to pay for, making sure that you have enough hangers, enough racks and space, and maybe you want a washer and dryer in the back. So then you got to look at, you got to make sure, what kind of soap I'm going to use and the whole bit, right? No, that's not what I want to do. That's not where I want to direct. I just scattered my energy all over the place. Bring it back. Maybe I want to teach people how to clean a house. Okay, what does that look like? So these are the things. This is where the energy's at, and it's getting you to really fine tune and look at what it is that you need to do, and choose and move and trust yourself. Trust yourself. Trust that the universe is leading you to this. Right? You're going to feel it. And underneath everything's happening right now, the truth is the world is narrowing. Things are narrowing, not into limitations, but into alignment. And that's what people have to understand. It's not a limitation, it's an alignment. And you don't get 1,000 options anymore, which could drive, hence, we just had a Libra full moon. That would drive a Libra crazy. You mean I can't choose all of this? I don't get all of these options? No, you don't. We're limiting you down to 2 options, and that's it, Libra. Nothing more. But what about that? No, you can't look over there. What about nope, you can't. This is it. Hence, frustration, overwhelmness can come through that, right? And you could be feeling like, holy shit, do I really, can I do this? Kind of thing. So that's where it's at. And because when you choose your path, everything starts to organize around it. Information, ideas, and everything start to come in. So the world's changing. And yeah, it's unstable. And this is not the end, it's the beginning. And people are going to find it difficult, but you got to stay grounded, stay clear, and stay aligned. And are the ones who will not just survive this, they will thrive when it comes next. And that's so important when you're with this energy, that you're going to find that when you're sticking to this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm growing, this is what I want to prosper. So if you want to understand this more, definitely my moon readings go deep within it. I just did a Libra, or I just finished my Aries workbook, and I think it's pretty cool. you know, but it's to take a breath, especially this weekend, and we're going to come back. And we're going to come back and we're going to tighten this up a little bit more um, after this weekend, right? Why is Canada still sending money to Ukraine when the world looks the way it does? Because he has investments in Ukraine right now, and Ukraine has a lot of minerals, and that's why. So the money's going into for investments for what is there. That's why he's doing it. And this is where also, you know, people are going to start waking up. People are not going to take it anymore. I mean, China's just investing, I think, in Ontario into a something electrical um something. So China investing in Canada. Um something electricity. Yeah, so as 2026 Canada is shifting its investment policy to welcome Chinese capital in key sectors, so including clean energy, electrical vehicle supply chains, and new strategic partnerships with that. So Canada is actively courting Chinese manufacturers. Um, Broad energy, so while focused on renewable and batteries, Chinese firms maintain an interest in traditional oil and LNG investments. Um, so we have that. 3 days ago, shifting. Okay, and what we're gonna do recently. The World Assembly Chinese EVs. So EVs are coming in. And yeah, so shifting the tides in Canada and the investments in relation. So China is having huge investments, as we know, into Canada and secures renewed market access with China. Implement, and it all has to do with electricity. So, and the trade and the investments. Oh, they just exploded. I think before they were being put onto the container and they exploded on the container ship. So luckily they did it over there and not over here. So huge investments are happening in Ontario with that. But the thing is that to have electricity, people still need oil and gas. The thing is that our computers, everything, is made from oil and gas. Our plastics, it, ink for the computer, for the printers, so oil and gas is needed in order to generate the electricity. You need generators. The generators need diesel, right? They need to be lubricated with oil. They need to be made. How are they being made? So how what is the material that these things are being made out of, right? So this is this is a huge thing. The other part too is you're going to find a lot to do with copper. So copper prices are going to be are starting to go up. So copper mining and things like that. Saskatchewan has huge uranium and uranium mines in Saskatchewan, and they have more uranium there than many other countries. So Saskatchewan mining is going to be taking off quite. Um, Saskatchewan uranium mining. Yeah, so production since Saskatchewan uranium mining. So miners, two new uranium sites in Saskatchewan posed to begin construction. So the thing is Canada's going to there's going to be a lot of growth in Canada over the next years as this war, because even though if the war ended tomorrow, there's the damage that has been done especially when it comes to the oil and gas sector, is huge in the world and in the world economy. And the three big deliverers of oil and gas, because now Saudi Arabia is being taken out, is Canada, US, because US now has Venezuela, um, and Russia. So look at where the mining is starting up, and so there's going to be a lot of jobs coming up in the mining sector. So when it comes to, people are worried about AI taking over and shit like that. Well, AI could take over a lot of the computer aspects of the mining or of the trucks or what have you, but to actually have the men on the ground, you're going to still need the men on the ground to do a lot of the mining, to go in there to get the uranium and things like that. So this is where, huge projects across Canada are going to be being set up. You're going to find drilling. I feel drilling is going to come up here. And even though that BC wants to stop BC, BC wants to stop Alberta from taking their oil to the coast. Well, the thing is that if BC wants to get anything out of BC, you got to go through Alberta. So there's negotiations there to happen, right? So I feel like there's things that are going to be happening in Canada that are going to bring in growth. But the one thing is that it's not going to stop the inflationary prices that we're going to see. It's not going to stop for the price of gas going up, right, per liter. So we're going to see the gas and the prices all still go up, even though things are going to be growing within Canada, within the mining, within the mining community, within anything to do with oil and gas. So anything to do with what they call the blue collar sectors are going to actually grow. And in that growth, there are going to be a lot of expenses because there are things that they may need or technology that they may need. Hence, now we're going into, yeah, we want AI to grow. We want to utilize AI. Well, what do you need for it to grow? Right? You need big areas, right? Because they're going to be making one outside of Calgary here, a couple in Saskatchewan and stuff, and they need water. So they need a lot of water to do that. But there's also where they're going to be needing chips. Where do they get the chips? They get the chips from Taiwan. And who are they putting a strain on for everything? Is China. So hence Canada's trying to get in on a leaning in a kind of backdoor deals with China. And this is what I feel. Not necessarily true, but I feel like there's back end deals that are going on because they know that the conflict with the United States and China is going to grow. HVAC, yeah, HVAC, anything like that is going to grow. Even that's going to be huge. Anything like that's going to be a huge industry. It's not going to die down. So this deal or things that are going to go on and escalate with United States is going to escalate between United States and China, right? So the whole thing in China doesn't have oil and gas. They rely on Russia. They relied on Iran. They relied on other places. Now, with the Strait of Hormuz being partially shut down, and as Trump says, you want your oil and gas, open up the strait. What a fucking prick. It's like you want the thing at the end of the street and you got to bypass these two houses who are like gangster things. Well, you go ahead, take them out first. But yet they don't want to do that. And that's the that's that's where we're heading into. So and with that comes in and definitely a what you would call a wartime mentality, rations, things like that. Even though you're going to have these sectors growing, you're going to have these sectors doing well. But you're still going to have where there's going to be a lot of restrictions when it comes in it because of the world. King Charles needs to be dethroned. Yeah, well, that's not gonna happen. He's a billion-dollar industry for the UK, like him or whatever, but he's getting a huge backlash right now in the UK where he got I think he was where'd he go in Wales and stuff, and he just couldn't ignore it anymore where people are saying, "You are not my king. You are not my king." Right? So, yeah, again, well, there's things with William is a Cancer, right? Kate is a Capricorn. Do you think a Capricorn Cancer, do you think like he is yeah, there's some weird shit going on there. So, with that Cancer Capricorn energy, um, and how things are structured there, sort of thing. So, and especially when you look at her chart, she's a kinky little thing, that little Catherine. She looks all pretty and prim in her little outfits, but she's definitely a little bit she's got, you know, if the king calls, king comes a knocking, Kate goes a goes a rocking. Uh you could say that. So there's some really crazy things going on there within that. And I think with William, um, for him, yeah, he's got to make more of a stance, but he's got being the defender of the faith, being the defender of the Christian church in England, you got to take a stand. You can't he's not like the king said he's the defender of all faiths. No, you're not. You can't be, right? You got to choose your lane, and that's the whole thing where this energy is coming in. What lane you want to be in? All of these lanes, and you want to appease all these people because one, he took a lot of money from the Middle East. You know, with a lot of his charities, you got Saudi priests and stuff like that are there. No, no, I'm just saying Charles did, but William needs he's got to come out a little bit stronger with who he is and with his faith. Like he can't just dabble up whatever. So that's why I say you got to choose your lane. And right now it's um things are going to heighten, and that's why everything's going to be into play by August 15th. August 15th is the date I gave, and the reason or April 15th I should say, not August. So April 15th is that pivot point. It's where it's that's sort of the line, the line in the sand. Until this point we'll be in the space of feeling it, sensing it, knowing it, but still kind of hovering, still kind of like trying to figure it out, deciding it. April 15th, it's removed because astrologically we are hitting a point where the energy is locked. And when Mars is finished in its time in Pisces, Mercury is moving forward, Aries is fully activated, right? So we will have, especially with this full moon, we're going to have, well, by the 15th, we're going to have Saturn, Neptune, Sun, Chiron, Mars, all in Aries. And this is, and Eris, she's of course in there too. So this is huge. This is not soft. This is commitment energy. This is direction energy. This is no more drifting. And you don't get unlimited options, right? So before April 15th, you can still play with ideas, you can still test waters and certainty, but after the 15th, you got to know where you're going. If you don't, you're going to be very lost. So understanding that is extremely important for people. And so taking this time to sort of feel it out. It's not perfectly, not forever, but intentionally, because this is where timelines split. And things are going to start really splitting. Things are really going to start getting weird and crazy. More things are going to be seen in the sky and a lot of craziness. So this is where this isn't just personal, but this is also global, right? So you're going to start seeing more decisive global action, less hesitation from leadership. Um, we're we're doing this energy because it's Aries. So things are going to take active forward motion. So tensions become movements, pressure becomes decisions. You're going to see where, the governments might be wishy-washy and something. No, we're doing this. We're putting this bill forward. This is what we're doing. That's it. No questions asked. Because things that have been building will start to move very quickly. So things that you've been seeing where they said this is what we're doing and you sort of been, well, when are they going to do it? Bang, it's being done. And that's even with AI and system shifts. So same with technology. Platforms choosing directions, pricing structure, solidify access becomes more defined. So this is where, open experiment phases and in structure system, this is what we're doing. It's a very psychological step into alignment or feel completely overwhelmed. And by April 15th, this is where what are you actually doing? What are you actually becoming? What are you actually committing to? And if you don't answer that, life is going to answer it for you. And you may not like the answers that life is going to bring you. So it's to be real, not to be fear based, but this is to be very real in where you are wanting to go and what you are wanting to do and getting into that momentum. And yeah, that's the same way with the king and everything else. Pluto in Aquarius, yeah, he's in there for another 19 years, right? More to see more control from the top than ever before. The other thing with Pluto in Aquarius is about humanitarian and what humans are. So there's going to be a question on what is human and what isn't human. We're going to be starting to see more about human hybrids and what a human hybrid is and the orient where humans came from, right? And that's Pluto in Aquarius, bringing in that energy. So as you say, we're going to have some really hard pivots, definitely. And by the end of the year, I'm a human hybrid. So this is where we're going to be pivoting. And this is where, especially as, 2027, it's not going to feel stable till 2030 thereabouts. Things will start feeling kind of normalized, but this is all the shifting and the changing, and the 2027 is like crazy radical gnarly times. So like you think it's like almost like, oh, isn't it crazy gnarly times now? Not really. This is just the beginning of it. This is where we're just starting to get into things. And it's not about, you know, because you're standing at, because we're standing at a doorway right now. And by April 15th, this is the walkthrough. We walk through the door, wherever it is, right? And whatever that door is, we walk through it. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And the transformations begin to take change, and how we take those changes forward. So this weekend, I feel it's kind of like a quiet weekend. It's a weekend to really reassess, to really take deeper looks on the directions that we want to go into, and really see what kind of changes we want to take in our lives, and how can we start to implement those changes, and how can we start to implement it into the direction we want to go into, and start off with, what do I want? And start off with one word and work your way through that word, right? So you might say, well, all I want is to have peace. Okay, well, what is peace? What does peace look like to you? Break it down. And that's the whole thing. The more you break it down, the more steps you break it down into, the more you're going to find the structure and the road that you need to go on to. Yeah. There you guys go. Have a fabulous day. And may the Lord and the Lady watch over and bless each and every one of you, and all you say, and all you be, and all you do. Please like and subscribe. Share this out. Let's get it out there. Let's get the Guru Mama up there. Hey, I'm at 287. Let's get to 500. Eventually, maybe one day I'll be at 1,000 subscribers. But For now, let's go for 500. Okay? Love you all. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. See ya.